The first weekend of February 2019 was a very bad weekend for motorcyclists in Louisiana. In one 24-hour period, 3 people lost their lives, victims of motorists who were impaired or distracted. In one case, the person who caused the crash fled the scene. This is the story of that crash and the impact it continues to have on the family and friends of Austin Huber. Talk to just about anyone who knew him, and they'll tell you. 25-year-old Austin Huber loved life and lived it to the fullest extent possible.
Austin was the happiest baby I ever seen. He was the sweetest little boy. He never cried.
He loved sports, and most sports that he played, he was good at.
When you were all little, did you all get along okay?
Yes, he was he was a pain in the butt, but he was my rock in a lot of ways.
We met through a friend, and he kind of came to my rescue. I had totaled my truck, and he brought me to work that morning, and we never left each other's side.
He was my little daredevil. That's just what he was.
Even as a child, Mom Carol LeMay says Austin was a bit of an adrenaline junkie, from skateboards to bicycles and even motorcycles. Austin loved them all.
Since he was just a little boy, he loved anything that had to do with, I guess, speed and stuff like that, you know. He just liked all that.
Those that knew him say Austin took great care when riding on public streets and highways, and he preached safety and responsible riding to his friends. In fact, he was teaching a friend to ride on the night he died.
Austin's best friend bought a Honda Shadow, and he didn't know how to ride. So Austin went with him to Eunice, and they picked it up one Friday afternoon when Austin had got off of work. And he rode it back from Eunice, and he called me, and he was so excited. You're not gonna believe Justice bought a bike. I just went with him to pick it up. He don't know how to ride, so I'm gonna go take him and show him how to ride. We're gonna go to the church parking lot. I said, okay. And that was like 11:59, 11:58. I went to bed, and I woke up to a knock on my door, a beating on my door. And when I opened the door, there was 3 police officers standing there. And I let them in, and I asked them if they wanted to come sit down. And when I asked them that, the Officer Archie asked me if I knew Austin Huber. And when he asked me that, I knew. And they explained to me that I couldn't see him, that he was taken to the morgue.
I don't really talk about it.
Austin's sister Ashley was with Carol that night.
I jumped up out of bed. My mom was already up, and she was opening the door, and 3 police officers walked in. And before they could even get everything out of their mouth, my mom was like, he's dead. You don't have any time to prepare for that. He wasn't supposed to be gone.
Ironically, Austin's brother, Adam, was walking home in the early morning hours and heard the crash.
He blew the horn at me as I was walking back into my neighborhood. I heard the crash. I didn't know it was him. To find that out at 4 a.m., that killed me.
In addition to learning that Austin had been killed, Family members were also told that his fiancée, Brandi Hughes, who was riding with Austin that night, was severely injured. But perhaps the worst news of all was that the driver who hit them had fled the scene.
How do you hit somebody, especially a motorcycle? That's a big object, and just keep going and not even try to see if you hurt somebody. Obviously, if you hit somebody on a motorcycle, you hurt them.
15 grief-filled hours later, police located the driver. 30-year-old Emily Easley was taken into custody by Louisiana State Police. Easley was charged with vehicular homicide, vehicular negligent injury, felony hit and run, reckless operation, failure to stop at a stop sign, failure to report a crash, and expired vehicle registration. Another victim of this senseless act, 15-month-old Brandi Hughes. She was just 6 months old when a father she will never know was taken away from her.
We may have not been together, but we had a family together. And raising her without her dad is pretty hard. Because she's never going to get to know that daddy.
Brandi Hughes, meanwhile, continues to recover from the physical injuries she suffered in the crash. But the emotional scars will perhaps never heal.
He was being so cautious that whole night. It was the first time I've ever rode a motorcycle. I remember feeling him as soon as she pulled out in front of us. Not even 10 feet. I could feel him letting off of the throttle and turning the wheel, and that was it. I mean, as soon as impact, that's all I remember.
I wouldn't have left a dog in the street. I've run over a dog before and picked it up and brought it to the vet. How do you leave a human being, 2 of them, in the street? I don't understand.
It's been nearly 10 months since that night in February, and Austin Huber's family members say they are still waiting for justice for the death of their loved one. A grand jury reduced some of the charges, and there have been several court appearances. But as of yet, there has been no trial, and Emily Easley remains out of jail on bond.